Hey, like, share, and subscribe. All right, so I was laughing before I started. I'm sorry. Nobody likes babyface Braun Strowman. Okay, nobody liked it. Everybody hated babyface Braun Strowman. So apparently they got the picture as Braun Strowman apparently turned heel. So the Fiend is the corruptor. He's the trickster. He corrupts everything that he touches. Just about everybody he's ever come into contact with has come out worse for it, which is by design. It's by character design. Obviously, he turned Finn Balor heel. He ended up turning Seth Rollins heel. He was going to apparently turn Goldberg heel because Goldberg was going to go into WrestleMania as the hated hero or sort of the fallen hero against Roman Reigns, but then COVID fucked that up. So apparently he has corrupted Braun Strowman, and he's kind of brought Braun Strowman back to where he was. And Alexa Bliss is being used in this storyline, not in the way that we thought. Everybody kind of figured that she was going to be sort of Sister Abigail-ish, maybe even possessing the spirit of Sister Abigail. But now she just seems to be, and you know, this is still early in the story. We don't know how far this is going, and whether this match at SummerSlam is going to be the only match that they have, or whatever the case may be. I'm just going to say, like, so far it has completely diverged from what I thought or what I expected it to be. So, in this instance, Alexa Bliss is sort of the one who knows Braun Strowman the best outside of Bray Wyatt. So she is, you know, his only real friend on the roster. So she is the one who's sort of noticing that Braun has changed. Because Braun lost the swamp fight. You know, technically he lost. And in the same way that Finn Balor, when he lost, he changed. In the same way that when Rollins lost, he changed. Braun has changed. You know, it took him 3 weeks to shave his head. Now he got big incel energy. But, you know, he cut this promo on SmackDown August 14th. The content of the promo is that Alexa Bliss was sort of using him, sort of that Alexa Bliss was sort of the one who turned him into the big goofy clown, the big teddy bear Braun that everybody hated, the croc wearing Braun that everybody supposedly hated and didn't like, and that it was kind of her fault because it, you know, when they became friends during the mixed match challenge, that's kind of when he started, you know, loosening up, and he became a little bit more than I'm gonna kill you, Roman. I'm gonna destroy you, boy. And you know, he started doing a little bit different stuff. He started showing that his character had range, and so you kind of blame Alexa Bliss for this. So Braun has changed. Braun is essentially a heel. Well, you know, he bench pressed Alexa Bliss, which he did at the end of the segment. At the end of his speech, he bench pressed Alexa Bliss and sort of dropped her on the ground. So even though it was blacked out, they keep doing this blackout stuff. So apparently he's turned heel. And so now Alexa Bliss is part of the story, but she's not a babyface in peril, and she hasn't turned heel yet. I say yet because I still think it's coming. But I think that using her to tell the Braun Strowman story covers up his holes as a performer, as far as she is somebody that people actually care about. You know, people did not like Braun. So Alexa Bliss is likable. She's the baby face in this situation because the Fiend is a heel, and now Braun Strowman is kind of a heel. So now you have somebody to feel sympathy for. The sympathy goes to Alexa Bliss. Her friend is now acting, both of her friends are acting like idiots. So, but you know, she's kind of not really, Nikki Cross is not really involved in this right now. But you know, she's got to deal with her big idiot friend who is angry that apparently he was turned into, you know, a big teddy bear, and you know, something that people made fun of and didn't take seriously. But it also seems to be that it was a romantic thing that kind of he was spurned or led astray or something to that effect, and that's incel energy right there, dog. I don't know how else you get. I don't know what else you can get out of that. That ain't nothing but incel energy, man. That's a sense of entitlement. But it's weird, you know. I kind of like it. Now they making the things even weirder because the Fiend is sort of protecting Alexa Bliss. He's kind of, you know, he's not being monstrous. He's sort of just kind of, he's sort of just watching the play happen. You know, he wants to get his hands on Braun, but you know, so the question is he protecting Alexa Bliss, or is he still playing mind games with Braun, or is he playing mind games with Alexa Bliss, or is Alexa Bliss and the Fiend playing mind games with Braun, or is it Alexa and Braun playing mind games with the Fiend? So there's a lot of different situations that could possibly be going on here. And I think you going with WWE, you should go with probably the most surface level thing, because they're not going to go too deep into this. And maybe that's what our problem is, that we was going a little too deep with the whole, oh, Alexa Bliss can be Sister Abigail, and she could be possessed with her soul, and then Nikki Cross could get involved, and then blah, blah, blah. And maybe that was a little bit too much for the story that they was trying to tell. But I think ultimately, I do think Alexa Bliss will end up turning heel. Now, a lot of people were angry that Alexa Bliss hit Braun. Now, that is something that's interesting because it was unexpected. But I think that when somebody who is your friend is acting weird and has said that they don't care about you and said all these mean things about you, then, you know, from a 5-foot woman to a 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", jacked dude like Braun, wasn't going to hurt him much for her to hit him. But I think the point of it was to be symbolic. You know, it wasn't, you know, a physical assault. It was sort of because she couldn't physically hurt him if he get, and she need a machine gun in order to hurt him. I mean, Braun Strowman, despite the fact that nobody likes him, is a goddamn gigantic wall of muscle. You know, there's not much she can do. She need a cannon in order to knock the guy over. But I think the point was symbolically her frustration with trying to talk sense into this new Braun Strowman, who has decided he's going to be sadistic and angry and monstrous. Now, again, I'm not so sure if this is an act or not, because she slapped him, and knowing that she can't hurt him, then it doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things. So we've seen stupid heel turns where guys have beat up other guys before, and then they find out they were buddies later on, which is kind of the dumbest way to do. I think that one of the weirdest things was the Aces and Eights, when Bully Ray was a member of Aces and Eights, and he was secretly a member the whole time, but he was pretending to fight them. And they were like knocking him out with like giant pillars and shit. like it was so weird. Like they was kicking his ass, and then all of a sudden he's like, "I was really involved with the group the whole time." I was like, "What? So you was taking all them ass whoopings for nothing? What you taking all them ass whoopings for?" But in this situation, because Alexa Bliss can't hurt him physically, it would make sense for this to be an act. Like maybe Braun is trying to lure Bray into some sort of false sense of security or some type of confusion where he could take advantage. But I don't know. Maybe that's overthinking it. Maybe that's overthinking it. So we got some magic out of Braun when the Fiend showed up. He vanished. He disappeared in the dark and ended up back on the Titantron, and he did his big boy evil laugh. And I don't know when was the last time a guy turned heel in the middle of his title run. Was it CM Punk? I think it might have been CM Punk. It might have been the last time a guy turned heel mid-title run. And you know, I saw some people, you know, Ryan Satin, there's no point in even not saying his name, who was saying like, this isn't going to help his title run at all. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? His whole title run has just been him fighting Bray Wyatt. It's been his whole title run. Occasionally he'll fight somebody else, but then he's just fighting Bray Wyatt the whole title run. This is his title run. It's this story that he's been telling with Bray Wyatt. So I'm finding the story very entertaining. Braun has turned heel thinking that Alexa has turned, and that it's something wrong with her, and that she's allied with Bray and just leading him astray and trying to set him up. So he's sort of a conspiracy theorist too. You know, he's kind of losing his mind. But this is actually the better Braun Strowman that I've seen, because we all enjoyed Braun Strowman as a big monstrous heel who was just wrecking Roman Reigns every week. That was when he was at his most fun, and it seemed like he might be going back to that, which is fine. You know, now I'm not a big fan of this whole the Fiend as a babyface thing, And maybe this is not going to stick because I'm not so sure what they want to do with this storyline as far as, because you still have Alexa Bliss is involved, and I say that's where the sympathy is. The sympathy is in the babyface. Since Braun apparently is not going to be the babyface in this storyline, they're not going to have a heel versus heel match. So I'm guessing they're going to go with what WWE usually does, which is they take things from the internet and they put it in the story. So apparently everybody likes The Fiend. Nobody likes Braun. So this is going to be a storyline where everybody can like The Fiend. He is the chivalrous knight in shining armor who is protecting Alexa Bliss from this maniac incel friend that she has, who probably wanted to bang her at some point, but now it's been so long that he's been in the friend zone that he's kind of given up on it, and now he just decides that I'm just going to wreck shop, which is fine, whatever. But it's a weird way of doing it because the Fiend being a babyface is weird. It's really weird. But he hasn't been babyface-ish. He's been more confused than anything. He's kind of been more. He hasn't talked about this situation yet. Like the Bray Wyatt, hasn't talked about this yet. Either Bray Wyatt, any form of Bray Wyatt. But he seemed to have wanted to. He said he wanted to bring Braun home, and maybe that's what he's done. Maybe he's turned Braun back to being the black sheep, and maybe this is what the black sheep is all about. Because the black sheep is the sheep nobody wanted. And maybe when Alexa Bliss spurned him, or he kind of seemed spurned by Alexa Bliss, he sort of, reminded of this in the midst of the illusion in the swamp that Alexa Bliss is this temptress who is out to seduce him and trick him and everything. And that's why he believes that she's sort of an agent of the Fiend, because he saw her in the swamp. He heard her in the swamp. So he thinks that, Alexa Bliss is allied with the Fiend. And he's saying like, hey, this is all conspiracy theory, and it's all, very psychological. And I find it very entertaining that Braun's character is going this route because the black sheep is the undesirable one. And Braun is not really well liked by a lot of the internet fans. I'm not so sure how a child takes Braun Strowman because I'm not around any children, so I can't tell you like, oh, kids love Braun. I have no idea. But I can tell you that most of the people who are responding to this are like, hey, babyface Braun sucked with all the smiling, and pretty much whenever WWE makes somebody smile too much, people start to dislike them. But the smiling and the silliness and the Crocs and shit, people are just kind of like, this sucks, this is terrible. We have to do something else. Something has to go deeper than that. And they found a way to make it work, to make it where they can get Braun back where he needed to be, which is to be a dominant force in the company. And they found a way to do it in a very creative way. Instead of just turning him heel against somebody, have him beat up somebody. This psychological game, or at least attaching him to the Fiend, allowed him to turn the corner and become something different, become something new, become something better. And so it's close to being the black sheep of the Wyatt family. It's close, but it's not quite the same thing. And I think that seeing Alexa Bliss in the swamp is what causing all his problems. And I like that because that's long form storytelling. And but I'm not so sure. Again, I'm not so sure I like what they're doing with the Fiend. He's very conflicted, very confused, as if he doesn't really understand his own powers and his own abilities, or whether he's having any effect on Alexa Bliss, or whether he's conflicted about Alexa Bliss's effect on him. And that's what I really want to look at. That's kind of what I want to see that develop. I want to see what is Alexa Bliss's effect on the Fiend. That's what I really want to see more of, because I want to see I want them to just have interaction. Maybe just she does a promo where she's talking to Bray about what he's done to Braun Strowman and how he needs to change Braun Strowman back and all this sort of stuff, so she can have her friend back. And I think that's probably a better storyline. That'll make the storyline more interesting. But they only got another week. So I'm pretty sure it's going to stick with the set as they have it now. And then Alexa Bliss is going to play into the finish of whatever match they have at SummerSlam. So she maybe, whatever is happening, Alexa Bliss is going to step in and either, or be involved somehow in the finish of that match. and then maybe we can continue it. I see that this has enough legs to continue to whatever the next show is. I think that they said that the Payback show is going to be an all women show. Maybe that was just an internet thing. I have no idea. But this Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman thing is intriguing. You know, it doesn't have as much magic as I thought it was going to, but it's fine. If they found a way to make it still very interesting, it's still very soap opera, you know, which is the kind of stuff that people kind of liked in wrestling. It's not really doing the title much favor. I can say that. I can say like this is not. Is this really a championship feud where, but you know, I guess let's talk about that for a minute because it took me 15 minutes to even remember that the title was involved, because the characters have been so engaging that the title has been secondary. That the title is what the Fiend wants. The Fiend doesn't want Alexa Bliss. The Fiend wants the title. So maybe that's what the Fiend is chasing. Maybe that's what the Fiend is trying to get out of Braun is the title. And maybe once he got the title, he doesn't really need Alexa Bliss anymore. Or maybe Alexa Bliss has made a deal with the Fiend to get him the title. You know, who knows? Who knows what the hell's going on here? But it's interesting. And, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later.